I'm sorry, I don't have a Doug shirt, and this is the best I could do on such short notice. Wait a minute, I have a Beach shirt! I really just remembered that. I'm not even being funny. Hold on. Wait a second. No?
Huh?
Damn it! Now we're talking. Doug might have been my favorite Nickelodeon cartoon as a kid. When it premiered, I was young enough to absolutely love it, and just old enough to remember it so vividly. I know exactly where I was when I first saw the promo for this show. I was in my old neighbor's house as I watched TV with their daughter so many years ago. Now, I'm not going to go into all the reasons I love this show, as I've touched on that throughout the choices in this list, and if you're here watching this, you surely have experience with the show. Also, I want to make a note here and say I've purposefully left off Quailman-centered episodes, as we know Quailman kicks ass, okay? He deserves a special mention, along with Smash Adams and Jack Bandit and any of the other miscellaneous characters that Doug's imagination led him into playing. There also won't be any episodes from Disney's Doug on this list, but surprisingly, I don't hate Disney's Doug. It's not as bad as Gargoyle Season 3. It's different, sure, but how many interpretations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have there been by now, and no one's really complaining? With that said, let's take a look at my personal top 10 episodes of Nickelodeon's Doug. In Season 2, Episode 8, Doug Saves Roger, we tackle the subject of bullying. Imagine my surprise when I find in this episode that Roger is the target of the bullying for once.
Well, no!
When Percy, Mr. Bone's nephew, comes to town, Roger and his gang are preparing to welcome him to the school.
Extra large spitwads?
Check.
Burping lunch tray?
Check.
Disintegrating homework paper?
Check.
But when they lay eyes on him, their plans quickly change. Taking a liking to Roger, Percy just bullies him non-stop.
You know what, Klutz? I can see that this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Oops.
And all of this goes on under the nose of his uncle, who can only see the good in him. It actually gets so bad, Doug begins to feel sorry for Roger, which shows just how good of a person he really is.
Boy, I was really starting to feel sorry for Roger.
And he even goes so far as to stick up for him, which turns out to be a big mistake.
No more picking on Klutz. From now on, I'm gonna concentrate on you.
Forced into a confrontation he doesn't want to be a part of, Mr. Bone comes in just in time, saving the day. All thanks to Roger, who finally shows a little backbone.
You didn't think I'd let you get creamed, did you?
Well...
Heck no, I wouldn't. Not unless I was doing the creaming. Get it? That's a joke. Oh, come on, loosen up, funny.
I just think the ending to this was pretty satisfying, seeing Roger come around, so I always remembered it.
Yes, sirree. Things are gonna be different around here from now on.
You know something, Roger? I think you're right.
Coming up next, Season 2, Episode 13, I chose Doug's lucky hat because I always wanted this to happen to me. Imagine your luck if you were just walking down the road and you found this awesome baseball cap that apparently was super lucky, because after you find it, you begin to experience a streak of unrivaled good luck. You find not just any old baseball card, but the very one you needed to complete your collection. You win a call-in radio contest later that day. You find something important that you previously lost. You find something important that your crush previously lost.
I'm so glad you're safe. Now don't do that again, running away from me like that.
You'd probably be a little attached to it too, huh? And the minute it escapes your grasp, your life just wouldn't feel the same anymore.
My hat was gone and I felt totally helpless.
Never finding out in the end if the hat was indeed the source of all of his good luck or not, Doug comes to understand to be happy and content with what he has, which is something we all need to be reminded of here and again, me more so than others.
You're a winner with or without the hat.
Really?
Sure.
Wow.
By the way, forget about getting your hat back. I think I'll be hanging on to it for a long time.
Now my next pick comes from Season 3, Episode 4, Doug's Big Brawl. Tackling the subject of bullying again, this episode showed both sides of two characters stuck in a situation they didn't really want to be in. After mistakenly assuming Doug is part of the group of kids bullying him on the school bus, Larry takes a shot at Doug. And Doug surprisingly fights back. that alone is already a surprising event within this otherwise wholesome children's show's normal plot lines. That was a long sentence, but I wrote it, I guess. But over the episode's length, the subject gets taken a bit further as we see both kids stuck in an uncomfortable circle of peer pressure as they throw jabs back and forth at one another.
Doug Funny is a phony. A lousy, no good, rotten, sucker-punching phony. And if he knows what's good for him, he'll stay away from the audio-visual room.
Working out their differences like the clever kids they are, this episode has always been memorable to me.
So Larry and I had our rematch, and believe it or not, it came out a draw.
Now, all the way back in the first season, episode 10, there was one called Doug's Doodle. Doug's Doodle. We have another great episode here with Doug full-on fantasizing and living out the adventures of Smash Adams. I know I said there wasn't going to be any Smash Adams references or anything like that, but this one's more about what Doug did than it is about the adventure, like Klotzenstein and all those things were. They were about the monster and Quail Man. This is Doug stuck in a bad situation. So anyway, Smash Adams, Bluffington's own James Bond, is a rather simple idea plot-wise. Doug sketches an embarrassing photo of his teacher, Miss Wingo, but accidentally passes it forward instead of his homework.
It couldn't be. I couldn't be that stupid.
The rest of the episode plays out both in the classroom, with Doug trying to figure out how to get the paper back without her noticing, and Doug's wonderful imagination painting beautiful pictures of Smash Adams handling the situation like a pro. Look at Miss Wingo right here.
Oh, Smash.
Choosing not to cop out at the end of the episode, Doug has to face the consequences of his actions. But this episode was more about the journey anyway, and that's where the magic lies.
Doug Funny, secret agent.
Number 6.
Look, if there's any two things that new sneakers can make you, it's popular with the kids at school, I guess.
I think it's so cool when a guy knows what shoes to wear.
And good at basketball.
They're just trying to make you. Yes.
Well, that's what we all thought in the 90s with our little LED light-up shoes. And remember the little pump? Remember the... Choosing to make a whole episode about Doug's anxiety over his old dirty shoes and how other kids might view him because of them was a great concept to tackle. And they did so in a believable way while still having those elements that made Doug, Doug.
Do you believe this, Lefty? He sold us out for a trendy fad shoe!
Seeking to impress his friends as well as be a basketball star, Doug almost purchases the last pair of Air Jets at the mall, which turned out to be enormous.
Our last pair of Sky Davis Air Jets.
I mean, like, enormous.
They feel a little, big.
Like, absolutely gargantuan on him.
Well, how far do I go before I feel the fantasy?
So funny. So after realizing he doesn't have enough money for both shoes, Roger snatches them up, and driving home a message of hope on his way out of the mall, Doug actually meets basketball star Sky Davis himself, who offers some words of encouragement.
Well, I like my Air Jets okay, but I've had these sneakers forever. They're my off-court buddies. I don't think I'd ever get rid of them.
Still keeping us entertained until the very end. I just love this episode.
Yes, great shot, Doug.
Did I even say what the name of it was? Season 1, Episode 7, Doug's Cool Shoes.
Number 5.
And in Season 3, Episode 9, Doug's Hot Property, we tackle some comic book related drama. Always made me think of that Simpsons episode. You know which one.
Shut up, shut up.
While not really the same plot-wise, greed still played a factor in both stories. Seeking to own a copy of
The Amazing Man. Oh yeah, he's great. He's my favorite.
God, you burnout, is Man of Steel. Doug has made an offer he can't refuse by some crooks who have stolen their copy from Mr. Sully's store, which Doug doesn't know, of course. He was 11 years old, cut him a break.
What's it worth to you? He says you got a deal, my man.
I know he's old enough and should be smart enough to know better, but this was the 90s, damn it, and it was a cartoon. And Bluffington wasn't the kind of place where this thing happened. I'll give his naivety a pass. Stupid Doug. The rest of the episode explores the internal struggles he faces, knowing he is in possession of something that isn't rightfully his, even though he paid for it. And again, we see Doug bite the bullet and accept his loss and do the right thing. All with that hilarious Doug take on things.
My massive brain has just detected a disturbance.
Number 5.
Now back in Season 2, Episode 1, Doug's Secret Song, You know this song.
Patty, you're the pickle on my coleslaw. Patty, you're the sugar in my tea. Patty, you're the relish on my hot dog. And Patty, you're the mayonnaise for me. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Recording his song about Patty at the mall's video kiosk, Doug is horrified when he returns home to find the lady behind the counter has mixed up the tapes she was handing out.
Fast food feels fuzzy, 'cause it's made from stuff that's fuzzy. I always thought I was such a nerd.
Assuming Patty has his tape, Doug and Skeeter and even Porkchop attempt to break into the slumber party at BB's house to stop them from seeing his awful performance. It's hard to say a lot about this one without really spoiling the plot. I think Martin just went inside. And I don't really want to spoil the plot of this one, because some of the other ones, it didn't really matter. It's your silly old episode. But this one has genuine fun and surprises in it.
I'm ruined. My life is over.
Porkchop, what are you doing?
It's the anticipation of, like, when are they going to see what Doug did on that tape?
You crazy dog!
For once, though, Doug actually gets a break, and it seems Patty didn't receive his tape after all, and he's actually made things harder on himself. It's a nice message to all of us about how worrying about things you can't really do anything about is utterly pointless in most situations.
Skeeter, I think someone up there likes me.
Yeah, but someone down there doesn't.
Boys, get off of there!
And we get more banjo Doug.
Patty, you're the mayonnaise for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Number 3.
Season 3, Episode 12, Doug's GarageBand. You know this episode as well. I may not have been a musician when I first saw this episode, but even then I was captivated by its magic. Forming a band is just non-stop fun with this one. As word spreads, they need some other instruments. And they take the Slipknot route, gaining like infinity members. And end up performing their first show at a local birthday party. Mishap after mishap after mishap follow, and much like the last episode, so much of this episode's charm doesn't come from its simple plot, but from the execution, sight gags, and the musical numbers.
One little voice is big, ooh yeah. One little voice is big.
And in the end, Doug discovers the musical life isn't for him.
If this is what I had to do to be famous.
And there's nothing wrong with that. He moves on with his life. I mean, they went so far as to write an entire 2 verses for the main song, and they closed the credits of this episode with that instead of that normal outro music. That's pretty cool.
Banging on a trash can, drumming on a street light.
Number 2.
I put 2 episodes in this slot, and I think you'll understand why. Season 3, Episode 13, Doug's Magic Act, as well as Season 4, Episode 6, Doug's Fan Club. Doug and magic tricks? Sign me up. Plot-wise, Doug's Magic Act is about Doug trying to perform a magic trick on Patty, which goes horribly wrong.
Doug! Nothing to worry about, miss. I have the key right here. Oops.
And Doug's Fan Club is about him performing magic so well that he catches the attention of an annoying little kid who follows him around, pestering him constantly. And as with all episodes, there's positive messages to be found here. There's the magic of Doug all around with great animations, flashbacks, and Doug's silly imagination filling in all the holes. Finding themselves closer together than ever before by the end of the first episode, I loved this one for its element of friction it gave to Doug and Patty, especially knowing by this point in the series how big of a crush he has on her.
Well, so much for the big finish.
You just never saw Patty really frustrated with Doug, other than that one episode where he unknowingly destroyed her old house. As for Todd, in Doug's Fan Club, he was just an annoying kid like we all knew at one point or another in our childhood. So, part of this plot's relatable, obviously. But magic. So much magic!
Vini Vidi Vici! Wow!
I always wanted to do that. And the closest I ever got was... If you care at the end, Doug and Todd make amends. Of course they do. It's a children's show. And they live happily ever after. Blah, blah, blah.
Number 1.
Oh, Season 3, Episode 10. You didn't frighten me as a kid, but I don't know. You made me uncomfortable. Doug's Nightmare on Jumbo Street. You already know what you're kind of getting with that title and what they were parodying, obviously. The title alone made my eyes widen as a kid. A new horror movie has arrived in the Bluffington Theater, and everyone is anxious to see the terrifying new monster, the Abnormal. Now, everyone but Doug apparently has seen this monster. He gets so scared, he just covers his eyes when it shows up. Now, Doug has nightmares that night about it, which It just made for some great eye candy in the episode for real.
Careful, Skeeter. It's a shapeshifter. It could be anywhere. What are you talking about, dog? You know, the abnormal.
Now, feeling defeated by his cowardice, he attempts to watch the movie again. Once again too scared, a cycle ensues of nightmares, self-doubt, and disappointment.
Watch out! The abnormal's coming! There's a monster loose!
You've got to be putting me on.
All while the other kids at Bluffington are just openly talking about the monster and how it didn't intimidate them. Martin did come back out. She's on step scratching herself. Y'all don't care about my cat.
Wasn't it a shock when you finally saw it? Maybe little Dougie didn't see it. Maybe he ran home crying.
No, I didn't.
So now Doug just feels even worse because everyone's seen the monster and he's the outcast. Eventually, facing his fears, Doug discovers there was nothing to be afraid of at all, and he even finds a bit of solace that all along, he wasn't the only one too afraid to glimpse the monster, it seems.
I guess I didn't see the zipper because I covered my eyes during most of the end.
You did?
Me too.
Me three.
This episode just kicked ass for so many reasons.
What? You big chicken.
Well, you pretended to cough so you could look down at the floor.
What? I did not.
But Michael, there's no Beats episodes on your list. Yeah, I know. It was hard not to put one on here. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I do feel like the Beats are actually in that same vein of Smash Adams and all that. We know the Beats kick ass. Killer Tofu, Where's My Sock, all those songs, they're f***ing awesome. Better bleep that, because this is more of a child-friendly review. I'm trying to be, more accepting and all that. So, if you like hearing me talk about these old Nickelodeon shows, or old nostalgia period, then thumbs up these videos. Let me know, because, I don't really know what I should review going forward. I was balancing my reviews between doing these weird VHS and horror things that I've acquired, and it has its market, but it seems like lately, every time I make these pop culture type things from when I was a kid, people really seem to gravitate towards them. And if you're still here after all this, the reason that I haven't been doing those is I didn't want to be labeled as like a nostalgia critic knockoff. It's not like at this point something hasn't been said about every property in the world, but I guess I forget that it's my interpretation of it. So maybe you want to see that kind of stuff. If so, let me know down below. That's what I'll push more towards in the future. So.